Hey everybody, it is cold today. I got up this morning to 13 degrees. I'm really not used to those kind of cool temperatures. I don't work today, so I figured I would come out, maybe look for some shed antlers, some property I've got permission to be on. They said I could also possibly find some arrowheads in the creek beds. So I'm going to kind of look for that too as I come across them. Hopefully I can get them out of the frozen ground if I find some, or out of the ice, whatever's on them. It is cold. Look at how that water's traveling underneath that ice. Kind of looks like bubbles. Ain't that neat? Looks like this little washed out ditch might have been a pond at one time. Here's what's left of the levee. Here's where it washed through the levee. Pushed out through here. And here's some more area that has been pushed up. There's some rocks that they might have had around the spillway. All the washouts right here, I can't tell if this is where the spillway was or not, and they might not have had a spillway. Here's some raccoon tracks frozen in the ice. You notice it looks like the tracks are about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch deep. Now a raccoon doesn't typically make a track this deep, but the ice, see the way the ice is pushed up in crystals? It almost looks like a honeycomb. The way this works, where the track is pressed down into the mud, it packs where it presses down. And that leaves in between the pressed areas, or in between the prints, open for the ice to push straight up when it freezes. Here we have some deer tracks frozen in the ice. The deer will make a deeper track anyway, but I think these tracks have probably been pushed up by the ice. Look at this, everybody. This track right here could almost pass as a human track or a bear track. It's not big enough really to be a grown human. It could be a child, a juvenile. It was made probably over the weekend because everything's froze up in it. Here's more here. I don't see any coming off of the mud bank here, which is in line with it. So let's follow it and see if we can find a bear track. Okay, here's another track. Now this track is probably 4.5 inches wide. And it's kind of hard to see from this angle. It is this long. Looks like a toe was here, 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 and here. Now bears typically have 5 toes, unless there's something wrong, birth defect, or an injury. But there's no heel mark with this one. But there's still not enough here for me to tell if this is actually a bear track. See if I can get this at a little bit better angle. There it is. There's still not enough here for me to tell if this is a bear track. And, you know, it could be a cougar track. They have 4 protruding toes. It'd be a big cougar. Huge cougar, 4-inch wide tracks. But there's not enough here for me to tell exactly for sure what kind of track this is. Believe me, if I find one, I'll put it on video. Here's something you don't see every day. Looks like an old dog bone maybe hanging out of a tree. It's an old dog bone. It's been chewed on a little bit. It is probably how it got in the tree to begin with. Probably a squirrel. That hole right there is big enough for a squirrel to make a nest in. Probably rotted down here and fell out. It's hard telling how old that bone is. We'll have us another bone. I don't believe that's a deer antler. It's too straight. Look how hollow that thing is. It's neat. Squirrels have worked it over too. Looks like the hogs have paid us a visit lately. They're tearing it up down here. It was at least yesterday or the day before, and it froze since they were here. It might have been overnight last night, I guess. Here's one that's freshly down by the storm, looks like. And that would have been a good tree too. They'd have cut it. Probably could have got 3 good logs out of it. Little shotgun shell that was at the base of it. Look at this mud. This mud's frozen. It doesn't look like it's been rained on since the tree fell over. The water underneath the root base is milky white. I've always heard that these trees will fall over if the ground gets saturated enough. All it's got to have is the right amount of wind to hit it. No arrowheads, no deer antlers. I did find a good arrow. The mechanical head on this thing has not even been activated. Apparently somebody missed or shot high, or maybe even just dropped it here. The water bottle right up there. Okay, I'm starting to see some buck sign now. That's a rub. That's a pretty good one actually. The shorter stub has been broken completely off and a bunch of the limbs off the taller one there. So I'm in the right area to find maybe a deer antler. But they won't be using this trail. They'll be using one that leads to where they eat from where they sleep. So I've got to find that, a more well-used trail. Do you see that? Do you see that? Is that beautiful or what? It's been down a few days. The base is white. When they drop their pink, a few days later they turn white and then they fade into tan. So it was lost this spring. But it was down here long enough it had moisture underneath it. That is a beautiful antler. I don't see any chew marks on it yet. I do too, a little bit right there. Still, that is a beautiful antler. I'll look around and see if I can't find the other half of it. Sometimes they lose them in the same area or not too far apart. Well, I'm back from today's hunt, and I only had 2 things to carry out, but I'm very pleased with what I found today. Start with this deer antler. It is by far my favorite find. I enjoy finding these things. In another year, he's going to be a monster. And this is one of the cleanest antler bases I have ever seen. There's always trash around them, little nubbies or whatever you want to call them. He didn't quite get his brow tine to grow, so that doesn't really count, but it's a nice 4-pointer. I was not able to find the other half. And I found an arrow someone had dropped. I'm pretty sure they dropped it. They didn't shoot it because the rubber band is still on it. If it would have hit a twig or anything, it would have popped that rubber band off. So this is a perfectly good arrow to use. It is an Easton 6mm full metal jacket. I don't know if it's carbon on the inside or if it's just an aluminum arrow. I might use this for bow hunting this fall. I don't know yet. I need to check and see if it's compatible with the bow that I use. I also need to check and see if this is a lighted knock on it. It'd be awesome if it is. Anyway, I had fun today, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. If so, please like and subscribe. Thank you.